Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna. Welcome all to the Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya sessions. We welcome Prasannatma Balaram Prabhu for sharing today's nectar from Canto 6, Chapter 1, text 32 to 33. Hare Krishna Prabhuji, Dandat Pranam. Over to you, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji. Thank you so much. Dandat Pranams. So can we get started or should I wait?
Yes, Prabhuji. And we can get started, Prabhuji.
Okay. So Hare Krishna to all the devotees. I hope my audio is okay. You all are able
Perfect, Prabhuji. Everything is perfect.
Thank you so much. So we'll get started with the two verses that we are going to see today. We are looking at in the 6th canto, like Prabhuji said, first chapter 32 and 33. These are the two verses that we'll be seeing for today. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narotamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jaya Mudirayet Nashta Prayeshu Abhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Uttama Shloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naishtaki Mukam Karoti Vachalam Pangum Langayate Girim Yatkripatamaham Vande Shri Guru Dinatarinam Paramananda Madhavam Shri Chaitanya Ishwaram. Hare Krishna. So,
You want me to share this shlokas, Prabhuji?
I'll try to do that.
Okay, Prabhuji.
Thank you. Are you able to see the screen?
Yes, Prabhuji.
So today's verses, we'll just take one after another. Uchir nishedithastam ste vaivasvata purahasaraha keyuyam pratisedharo dharma rajasya shashanam. So that verse, the word-to-word meaning is like this. Uchuhu replied, Nisheditaha, being forbidden, Tan, to the order carriers of Lord Vishnu, they, Vaivasvatha, of Yamaraja, Puraha Saraha, the assistants or messengers, Ke, who, Yuyam, all of you, Pratishedharaha, who are opposing Dharma Rajasya, the king of religious principles, Yamaraja, Shashanam, the ruling jurisdiction. So the purport and translation by Srila Prabhupada. Prabhupada ki Jai. The translation is like this: when the order carriers of Yamaraja, the son of the sun god, were thus forbidden, they replied, "Who are you, sirs, that have the audacity to challenge the jurisdiction of Yamaraja?" They have a short purport. According to the sinful activities of Ajamila, he was within the jurisdiction of Yamaraja, the supreme judge appointed to consider the sins of the living entity. When forbidden to touch Ajamila, the order carriers of Yamaraja were surprised because they had never been hindered in the execution of their duty by anyone within the three worlds. That's verse 32. And verse 33, I just read the verse. Kasya va kutha ayataha kasmad asya nishedatha kim deva upadhevaya yuyam kim siddha sattamaha. So here the synonyms are Kashya, whose servants, va, or kutaha, from where, ayataha, have you come, kasmat, what is the reason, asya, the taking away of this Ajamila, nishedatha, are you forbidding, kim, whether, devaha, demigods, upadevaha, demigods, sub-demigods, yaha, who, yuyam, of all you, kim, whether, siddha sat tamaha, the best of the perfect beings, the pure devotees. The translation, dear sirs, whose servants are you? Where have you come from, and why are you forbidding us to touch the body of Ajamila? Are you demigods from the heavenly planets? Are you sub-demigods? Or are you the best of devotees? So this is a question that the Yamadutas are asking the Vishnudutas. So in the purport, Prabhupada is saying, the most significant use in this verse is Siddha Sattamaha, which means the best of the perfect. In Bhagavad Gita 7.3, it is said, Manushyanam sahasreshu kaschidhyatati siddhaye. Out of millions of persons, one may try to become Siddha, perfect, or in other words, self-realized. A self-realized person knows that he is not the body but a spiritual soul, Aham Brahmasmi. At the present moment, practically everyone is unaware of this fact. But one who understands this has attained perfection and is therefore called Siddha. When one understands that the soul is part and parcel of the Supreme Soul, and one thus engages in the devotional service of the Supreme Soul, one becomes Siddha Sattama. One is then eligible to live in the Vaikuntha planets or Krishna Loka. The word Siddha Sattama therefore refers to a liberated pure devotee. Since the Yamadutas are servants of Yamaraja, who is also one of the Siddha Sattamas, they knew that the Siddha Sattama is above the demigods and sub-demigods, and indeed above all the living entities within this material world. The Yamadutas therefore inquired why the Vishnu Dutas were present where a sinful man was going to die. It should also be noted that Ajamila was not dead, for the Yamadutas were trying to snatch the soul from his heart. They could not take the soul, however, and therefore Ajamila was not yet dead. This will be revealed in later verses. Ajamila was simply in an unconscious state when the argument was in progress between the Yamadutas and the Vishnudutas. The conclusion of the argument was to be a decision regarding who would claim the soul of Ajamila. Hare Krishna. So these are the two verses we will see. So very wonderful verses. It's talking about the history or the story of Ajamila. That is what is unfolding in these verses. I'd like to thank His Grace Sankarshan Priya Prabhu and the entire Nityam Bhagavata Seva team for giving me this opportunity to do the Seva. So I'm doing this for the pleasure of the Lordships, as a service to the Guru Parampara and for my own purification. So I request all the senior Vaishnavas, Prabhus and Matajis present here to bless me so that the right words come at the right time in the right spirit. Hare Krishna. So these verses actually, I mean, this is in the very first chapter of the 6th canto. We are actually looking at the story of Ajamila. It is just unfolding. And here, what is the situation or the scenario? Like you all are aware, there is this Ajamila who is on the deathbed, and then he's calling out to his son, who's named Narayana. And then you have, he's on his deathbed. It's the final moments for him. So the Yamadutas are appearing and they are about to snatch the soul and take him to punish. But there is an intervention that has happened where there are two beautiful forms, the 400 Vishnu form kind of personalities come, and then they are asking the Yamadutas to stop. So they are the Vishnu Dutas, so they are asking the Yamadutas to stop. And this kind of perplexes them, and they are surprised that somebody is coming and interfering with our work, and this has not happened before. So this is the situation that we are seeing. Okay, so let's try to understand what our acharyas have said. So before we get started, Om Ajnanatimirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamahyam Dadati Swapadantikam Namo Vishnupadaya Krishna Prestaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Niti Namine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Pashyayata Deshatarine Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shri Vasadi Gaurvata Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna. So in this particular verse, they are surprised, they are perplexed, and then they are asking a question. Who are you people? Who are you so wonderful people? So that's what is happening. But if you look at this particular canto itself, Canto 6 is actually talking about Poshanam. So what is Poshanam? Poshanam means protection of the Lord. The protection that the Lord is offering is called as Poshanam. So we know, we are aware of the 10 topics that are there in the Srimad Bhagavatam. So out of those 10 topics, that it starts with Sarga, Visarga, then Sthanam, Poshanam, then Utaya, then there is Ishanukata, Manvantara, and then there is also Nirodha, Mukti, and Ashraya. So these are the 10 topics that are covered in the Srimad Bhagavatam. So Sarga is about creation, Visarga is secondary creation, so on and so forth. So this sixth canto is about Poshanam. Poshanam means how the Lord is protecting. So, and then the story of Ajamila, it starts with the story of Ajamila, and then since we are talking about sixth canto, there's also this reference to Vritrasura, and then Chitraketu, then Indra, King Indra, that entire episode, how it unfolds, the curse that happened, and all of that. So these stories, the story of Ajamila, or the story of Vritrasura, and all of them, they also tell us how the Lord is actually extending his protection to everybody, even though it looks like there is a curse that has happened. That's in the case of Chitraketu. And then here in Ajamila's case, he's a very sinful personality. So much of sin he has been committing all his life, and he is on his deathbed. He has broken all the regulative principles, so to speak. And then, he's like a bhandar of sins is there. And then, that's why they are more surprised, which Yamadutas are saying, why are you people here? That's what it says in the next verse. They're saying, like, you people, why are you here? There is a sinful person, and we are just carrying out our job. So you just allow us to carry out our duty. You shouldn't be interfering. So that's the mood of the Yamadutas, because there was no doubt about his character or the sins that he has committed and the punishment that is awaiting him. So there was absolutely no doubt at all. And then he said, like, you shouldn't even be here, kind of a thing. And then to top it all, you're interrupting me. So that's how there is a twist to the whole Leela. It's unfolding, and try to understand that. So if you look at this particular canto, Sukadev Goswami and then Parikshit Maharaj, the conversation is between them. And Sukadev Goswami is actually narrating the pastime of Ajamila. And it is said that Sukadev Goswami actually wanted to establish the fact that the supremacy of devotional service, and then how it kind of transcends all other aspects like Jnana Kanda or Karma Kanda, how Bhakti Yoga is more powerful or superior. And he wanted that to be established in his discourse that he did for so many days, 7 days. And then that is how then this particular story is being narrated by him. So there, it goes on, and then they are trying to prove how bhakti is independent of karma and jnana, is more powerful than karma and jnana. So karma by its own is not liberating. Jnana also on its own is not liberating. But bhakti, without even though it is not touched by jnana or by karma, it is still has the capability to liberate a person. Or it is said that one who is following bhakti or trying to travel the path of bhakti marg, by fixing his mind in Krishna, there is a guarantee that is being given. What is that guarantee? It is guaranteed that they will not meet the Yamadutas. So that's the point that is being brought out in this story as it is unfolding. Now, like I said, who is Ajamila? Okay, another thing, this particular story of Ajamila is very, very unique. So why it is unique is because the word itself, Ajamila, means that which has not happened in the past, nor will it happen in the future. Such a thing is referred to as Ajamila. And the name of the person is Ajamila. So it's a very unique pastime that we are actually discussing. And there are very deep things that come out, and then we'll try to cover some of them so that we will be able to understand it from the perspective of devotional service and how devotional service is so supreme, or how it transcends everything, or it has the power to take us out of any kind of situation that a Bhadda Jiva or a person who's entrapped or engaged is in. So that's the point. Now, Ajamila's story is unique. So we saw that because the word itself is that which has not happened in the past, nor is that which is going to happen in the future. So nothing past, present, it's not happened before, it's not happened, it's not going to happen in the future. So, like, what are these people actually saying? If you look at Prabhupada's lecture on this particular verse, Prabhupada actually, in the first verse, that is, and in the sense, the 32nd verse, he is taking on this key word of Shashanam. So, Shashanam, what is Shashanam? So, just one second. So, Shashanam means the ruling jurisdiction. Prabhupada is translating like that. We just read that. And then we are talking about Yamaraj and then his servants, and also the jurisdiction that is allotted to Yamaraja. So he is called as Dharma Rajasya, or the king of the religious principles. That is Yamaraja. Yamaraja is the son of the sun god. So he is referred to as the son of the sun god. So in this particular this thing, where Prabhupada is talking about Shashanam, he goes on to elaborate how current day, like if you look at the modern day, the way people perceive things, the whole creation itself is by chance, they say. Or that's one of the theories that is most widely accepted by people. So they say there was this chunk, and then there was this explosion, and then things happen. So there is no what do you call there is no credit given to any individual or any power or any potency which has created this. They say just happened by chance. So actually, that's the very first mistake that mankind is doing. In the name of science, we are trying to move away from the creator. We just want the creation, but we don't want the creator. So in the same way, there is also this jurisdiction, or there are these laws that are governing the entire creation. So these laws means then there is a lawmaker. So that's the understanding that's the right understanding that we need to have, and Prabhupada is bringing that out. So he's saying that this Shashanam is coming from this root verb Shasta, which means, and then there are many variations that come, like Shastras or Shasta, that is the weapons and all of that. So all of this actually indicate a governance, or a kind of a jurisdiction and then a governance. But then there is no such acceptance by modern day people. So because they have been told in their school days that there was this chunk, and then there was an explosion, and everything happened by chance, and it was very sudden. So that is very insane, Prabhupada says. And then he also goes on to say that any sane man can understand the laws of nature. How is that? You just take a moment, pause, and then look around. So you see how the fruits are coming out during the certain seasons only, and then how there is day and night happening. So then there is so much of predictability. Then there are this change of seasons, and there is a lot of predictability around that. Then if you look at the occurrences of the eclipses, so there again there is so much of predictability. So all of us are aware of the Panchanga, or the Panchang, that is that the calendar that we refer to, and then we'll know that, okay, on such and such day at such and such time, for this particular region there is going to be an eclipse, and so on and so forth. So they talk about when it will start, when it will end, so which means when there is predictability, that means then there is orderliness. If we can predict something, only when there is orderliness. If there is no orderliness, then you can't predict. And so there is orderliness, there is predictability. So if there is orderliness and there is predictability, then there must be some intelligence which has set it up. So that is where then they stop their thinking. They don't want to go beyond that. So, but Prabhupada is bringing out that aspect, saying that how there is so much of intelligence involved, and there is an intelligence governance that is put in place. And this intelligent governance is the law. And of course, the intelligence is coming from the lawmaker, who is none other than Krishna. So, but if you look at the laws people are not very ready to accept the laws of Krishna. So it's not Krishna's laws according to modern day civilization. They call it as Newton's law, or they'll say Charles' law, Boyle's law. So they have people who have discovered these, and then the laws are named after them without acknowledging the fact that it is all coming from Krishna. So this is where the first mistake or the first deviation that has happened. Anyway, but we should understand as practicing Vaishnavas that the laws of nature, whether it is gross or subtle, I mean, Newton's law and all are very gross, but then there are also subtle laws. The subtle laws, there's the law of karma and so on and so forth. So all of this is given by the Lord. Dharmastu sakshat bhagavad pranitam. So all the living principles or principles that have to be followed for leading a successful life in this material world is already laid out, and it is coming directly from the Lord. But anything that is man-made becomes it will have its defect. So because anything man-made, it is subjected to 4 types of defect and so on and so forth. So we have this so much of clarity Prabhupada has given in his various purports, which talk about how we should break away from this view of looking at the creation around us as by chance, and then things are in motion. And then at the most, if at all people are accepting some amount of orderliness, they say it is because of nature, Mother Nature, and then they stop there. So there again, they're not going the full length and then attributing it to the Supreme Personality. So anyway, Yama has his own jurisdiction. We can understand that from this particular pastime. And Yamadutas are functioning within that jurisdiction. And then here, of course, like I said, there is somebody who's interrupting it, and then they are surprised. So, but Prabhupada says that this jurisdiction, laws, rules are all going on, whether you accept it or not. So it doesn't matter if civilization or modern day civilization is accepting it or not, because all the rules anyway will apply to them, whether they like it or not, whether they agree to it or not, whether they accept it or not. So that's the helplessness that is there. So as Vaishnavas are more intelligent, so they accept the rules or the laws that are there. So it's like Prabhupada gives this example of government, and then you may not like the government rules, but whether you like it or not, whether you accept it or not, the rules are going to act on you. If you make a mistake, you will be punished, and so on and so forth. You cannot go around saying that, no, I don't accept these laws. These are all, I don't accept the laws that are made by the government. So I'm not obligated to follow them. They'll say they'll not only punish you, they'll also take you to get your insanity checked. So in this way, it's very foolish for somebody to not accept. But then whether you accept or not, anyway, it is going to act. And we should also know that there is this whole setup that is there of various ministries and everything. And in this whole ministries for various departments, like you have the water department, the fire or the energy department, the sun god, the Varuna, and then the rain gods. So you have these various things which are needed, and then then Mother Earth is providing certain things. So everybody have their own role, and then they go about doing it, so that we people, the entrapped, the Baddha Jivas who have some desires in them, are given a platform to actually fulfill their desires and then get satiated by it, and then start looking out for higher taste, and then get in contact with higher taste, and then understand we are not this body, and then the whole journey of moving towards developing love for Godhead starts from there. So this is what it is. But then we also understand that we need to have this particular ministry of punishment which is needed, because in case when there is a law, then there is also law breaking that can happen. And if in case the laws are broken, then there should be a department which will take care of punishment and prayashchit and paschata, that is where repentance happen and realization happen, and so that the living entity does not do the same mistake again. So in this way, there is a system that is provided. But then one has to follow the rules. Now, present day they're not following. So leave alone following the rules. They don't even accept the rules. So before following the rule, one has to accept the rules. So the rule maker is not accepted, rules are not accepted, or they don't believe in that. So where is the question of following the rules? So the situation for them is very, very, very bad. And then it looks like a very defeating. I mean, it looks like there is no hope. Very depressing kind of a scenario. But then there is this silver lining to this whole thing. So we understand the laws of God. We know there is punishment and reward and so on and so forth, and the principles of karma and how they move on. But then that is on in the first verse 32, Prabhupada talks about that. And then in the next verse, when it came to verse 33, where the Yamadutas are aware of this particular setup that is there. So what do they say there? They say, who are you people? Are you demigods or sub-demigods, or people who are pure and liberated? That is Siddha Sattamaha. So there Prabhupada takes this keyword of Siddha Sattamaha, and then he explains what is perfection in life. And of course, he starts with this Manushyanam Sahasreshu, Kaschidhyatati Siddhaye. So there are many. And then that word Siddhaye or Siddha or aiming for perfection, and who's a perfect individual, that definition here, you can see there is perfect alignment between the Siddha Sattamaha and the Siddhi or the Siddhaye that is to be sought out by human beings because of thousands of births, after many after so many individuals, then there is one in a million who becomes perfect. So here we are talking about pure devotees or Vaishnavas. So that we can see that particular link very clearly there. And the awareness of the Yamadutas to this aspect is being highlighted in this particular verse. So they are asking, they knew that there are sub-demigods, that is your Kim Purusha, so many people are there, right? I mean, all of these, that entire thing. And then the demigods, that is the Itara Devatas, the 33 crore who are taking care of the entire creation. So they are there. And then they are also aware that there are somebody who are beyond that, who are the best of the devotees. So the best of the devotees are the pure devotees of the Lord, or the Vaishnavas, so who are beyond the demigods. So they understand that. So that is what Prabhupada is saying here. And then he goes on to say how Yamadusas are aware of this fact. So that's the scenario that Prabhupada is explaining. And then he also talks about how among the human beings, there are also this Grihamedis, or the people who are so self-centered that their enjoyment is only of matter or concern for them. And then they just feel that this particular material world is for them to enjoy. And they want to enjoy without following any rules and regulation. A person who wants to enjoy a little bit with rules and regulation is a Grihastha. But a Grihamedi is somebody who's not bothered about the rules and regulation. And then they just want to enjoy to their fullest in the way they want it. As the mind goes, they want to go, and that kind of a thing. So without any austerity, without any principles in life, they want to live their life in that way. So in that, Prabhupada says the highest, the sense gratification urge is so much, and then the highest sense gratification is of the sexual pleasures. And so they get caught up in that. But then our acharyas have said how being a Grihamedi, the pleasure that you get out of by being a Grihamedi is tuchcha. Grihamedihi tuchcham. That means it is the lowest. It is like the worst. You should not aspire for such a thing. So this is how Prabhupada is talking about, there are rules for protection so that we don't get into this trap of becoming a Grihamedi. So there are these boundaries that are all set up, and that there are ministries that take care of it. There is Shastras that has been given, which is a rule book which talks about how you have to live your life. And there is also this Shashanam, that is the establishment of a law. And then there is this lawmaker, and there are these various hierarchies that are there, in which Yamaraj is one of them. And the Yamadutas also are aware that their boss, that is Yamaraj, is is one of them, Siddha Sattama. So he is one of them. So they are aware of all these things. And in fact, in the lecture, Prabhupada was also talking about how our great acharyas also have spoken about uncontrolled sense gratification is something that is to be shunned, or we have to spit on it. So it should not be accepted by us at all. So Yamunacharya, so I think you would have heard of Yamunacharya. He's one of the main acharyas in the Sri Sampradaya. So he was there for maybe 1,000 years earlier. So he was actually preceded. I mean, Ramanacharya is preceded by him. So after Yamunacharya, then it was Ramanacharya who came and then took over the reins of Sri Vaishnavism in Sri Rangam, in that particular mutt. So Yamunacharya was actually a king. If you look at his history, so he was given to this material pleasures and all of that, and then there was a change over that happened, and then he gave up everything completely, and then he becomes a Mathadipati of Sri Rangam at that point. And then when after coming into Krishna consciousness, so to speak, then after experiencing the joys, then he says that when I think of the earlier life, when I think of sex life, when I think of material enjoyment, I feel like spitting on it. And it's so much of repulsion or revulsion is there in that. So these are some of the aspects which tell us how one should not aspire for such a thing, and how a higher taste, which is far, far more better, finer, eternal, is there. But then we get caught up in these material things. And getting caught up in these material things is not the way forward. And then if we are caught up in these material things, then we can be very sure that once our end is near, then we would be visited by the Yamadutas. But once we are in Krishna consciousness, then it is very clearly mentioned that you don't have to, I mean, you'll never see an Yamaduta when the time comes for you. So this is how this thing is unfolding. Now, there is one key aspect that we need to look into. Now, why this whole episode is coming out? Because we know that Ajamila called out his son Narayana, and then you saw Yamadutas come, and that's how the story is progressing. Now, when he called out the name Narayana, what happened? What changed? Because we know his character is very sinful. He's broken all the regulative principles, etc., etc. But then, still, in spite of that, there is a change that has happened. And what is that particular change? Why that happened? We try to touch upon that a little bit. So this has many layers. The understanding of this particular pastime has many layers. So at one level, we will just try to see what actually transpired. And we will see, or I'll just try to take the reference of what Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakura is saying. And he has provided some additional insights into the power of the holy name, and we will try to dwell on that. And in that, this reference to Ajamila is given in that. So where it is titled as the accumulated benefits from chanting the holy name says. So here, in the example, they are saying Ajamila had named his son Narayana. So we know this, we all are aware of this. And because he loved his boy very much, he would call him again and again. So it was quite natural for the father to call out the son whom he loved. So always he used to call, hey, Narayana, Narayana, Narayana. So he used to do that always. And although he was calling for his son, the name itself is very powerful. It was very powerful. So that's what Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakura is saying. And because the name Narayana is non-different from Lord Narayana, so the name becomes very powerful because it refers to Lord Narayana. So when Ajamila named his son Narayana, all the reactions of his sinful life were neutralized. So whatever sinful, in his whole life, whatever reactions were there, they all got neutralized. And he also continued to call his name Narayana. So first he did the naming ceremony, he called him Narayana, and then all through he was calling him Narayana every day, day in and day out. So he was actually chanting the holy name of Narayana thousands of times. And he was actually unconsciously advancing in Krishna consciousness. So this is one view. Now, with this view, sometimes we might think in our minds, one may argue, like, since Ajamila was constantly chanting the name of Narayana, if that is what you all are saying, then how is it that he was committing so much of sinful activities? How was he still continued to be associated with a prostitute, or he was thinking of wine and etc., etc., all the sins that he was committing? Because by his sinful actions, actually, he was bringing suffering upon himself again and again, and therefore, one may say that only his chanting of holy name of Narayana at the time of death and not the chanting during his lifetime was the cause of his being freed. So that could be one argument, okay? Because all the other time when he was calling Narayana, anyway, he was committing all sins. So it would fall under the category of Nama Parad because he was calling out the name, but then he was doing sinful activities. So that is Namno Bhalad, Yasya Hi Papi, Papa Buddhi. So one who continues to act sinfully and tries to neutralize his sins by chanting the holy name of the Lord Narayana is a Nama Paradhi, an offender to the holy name. So when you do that, then how come so much of benefit is there? So, but actually in response, Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur is saying that Ajamila's chanting throughout his life was inoffensive because he did not chant the name or Narayana with the purpose of contracting his sins. So when he named him Narayana, he used to call his son Narayana. He never said, "Oh, I say Narayana, my sin will go away." He never had that kind of a consciousness when he was calling out. So it was not in that mood. And then he was so much in illusion, in Maya, that he did not know that his chanting of the holy name was actually neutralizing his sins. So much of ignorance was there that he didn't even know that it is neutralizing his thing. So that actually um, gave him an edge because he was chanting without any offenses. Now, we are not trying to say that we should all be like him, but we should understand the whole episode is being narrated to understand how the holy name is so powerful that even if somebody is ignorant of its power, of what it is doing or what capability it has or how one can deliver one, still you take the name, you still have its results work upon you. It is like the medicine. Prabhupada gives that example. You may not know what that medicine is doing when you swallow it. You may not know what all it contains, how it gets broken down. All those technicalities you may not know. You are ignorant. You don't even know what is it for. But then you take the tablet and then swallow it. It will still act. It will still work, whether you know it or you don't know it. So in that way, this holy name also, that analogy will help us to understand this a little bit because it's a little confusing sometimes, not sometimes, many times, often it is a little confusing, but we should understand that Ajamila actually did not call out the name Narayana with the intention of calling out Narayana. Of course, he did not do that. He called out his son. But then the word is so powerful that even though Narayana was not referred to when he was calling out, then the word or the sound itself is so powerful that it had its effect on him, which is it neutralized all his sins because he called it without any namaparad or any offense to the holy name. So we have this 10 offenses to the holy name. So if you look at all those offenses, then he did not commit any of those. So because he didn't want to nullify his sins, and he was so much immersed that he didn't know that he's actually nullifying his sins. He didn't. He was not even thinking of the Lord. So there is no such thing. So he didn't look at, oh, I'll be benefited by this, so let me call. So that was not like that. So when the moment we get into that consciousness, then we start creeping up in the scale of aparad, So we nama aparad, that is. So it is a very tricky situation. In fact, yesterday also there was this discussion in the Bhagavatam class at ICC. Many of you who heard would recall how he was talking about offenseless chanting and then chanting with attention. So that is what is going to give. And then chanting with attentive chanting is different from chanting with end result in mind. So when you have some end result in mind, then it becomes namaparat. So it's very fine. It's a thin edge that we are walking on. So we might deviate, little deviation this way, that way, then we would get into the namaparat stage. But then the name is so powerful that it would even deliver even if there is namaparat. Let's see what it says further. So here it says that in response, it may be said that Ajamila's chanting throughout his life was inoffensive. We saw that because he did not chant the name of Narayana with the purpose of counteracting his sin. He was in so much illusion that he did not realize he was addicted to sinful actions, nor did he know that his chanting of the holy name Narayana was neutralizing them. He didn't know he was in sin and he didn't know it was neutralizing them. Thus, during his life, he did not commit a namaparad when he called out his name or when he called out his son. And his repeated chanting of the holy name of Narayana while calling his son may be called pure chanting. So it may be called pure chanting because it didn't have any of these offenses. And because of this pure chanting, Ajamila unconsciously accumulated the results of bhakti, devotional service. Indeed, even his first utterance of the holy name was sufficient to nullify all the sinful reactions of his life. So here, there's an example that is being cited. It says that if one extracts, okay, it says that a fig tree does not immediately yield fruits, but in time the fruits are available. Similarly, Ajamila's devotional service grew little by little, and therefore, although he committed very sinful acts, the reactions did not affect him. In the Shastras, it is said that if one chants the holy name of the Lord even once, the reactions of past, present, or future sinful life does not affect them. All types of sins are eradicated. Kutastha, prarabdha karma, anything, all of that is gone. To give another example, if one extracts the poison fangs of a serpent, this saves the serpent's future victims from poisonous effects, even if the serpent bites repeatedly. Similarly, if a devotee chants the holy name even once inoffensively, this protects him eternally. He need not, he need only wait for the results of the chanting to mature in due course of time. So this is the view, and this is very clearly establishing the fact, another dimension to this Harinam or devotional service, which is about not clubbing it with aparads or not being conscious of the results of Harinam. So if we are conscious of the results of the Harinam, then we are committing an aparad, so to speak, because we are chanting with that consciousness, with that intention. Oh, so much I have done, so at least this chanting will take care of it. So no, that becomes Namaparad chanting. But then when we do Shuddha Nama without any aparad, then the sins are burned like that. And this particular episode of Ajamila, a very unique episode, like I said before, it actually tells us how powerful is the name, whether you know it or you don't know it. You know its import, you don't know it, you do it in Ajnana Sukruti, like you just take the name. That's how we would have heard, like His Holiness Jayapataka Swami Maharaj is talking. He always gives this example of people from other faith who talk about haram and all that, where there is Ram is there, and they get this Ajnata Sukruti for that. And there was one particular, I think it was yesterday's lecture only, where he was saying there were these devotees who were traveling, who were there in the streets, and then there was this one person who comes very excitedly, very innocent-looking person. This happened somewhere in the West, I think, I'm not sure where. So they ran up, and then he said, Hare Krishna, you people are Hare Krishna. Oh, so nice to hear. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. He was taking Krishna's name so many times. And then he says, see, when I say Krishna, when I talk to you, people see how my hairs are all standing on my arms. And then he's showing that. So he had some kind of a joy that is coming within him. And then actually the devotees who he was talking to, they were a little disappointed, or they were saying, Hare, we are following so much, we are doing so many things. But look at this man out in the street, suddenly from nowhere he came. He doesn't know anything about bhakti, he doesn't know so many things. He is obviously not following all the four regulative principles also, probably because that's the nature of an individual. So nothing of that sort he is doing. But then he says Krishna and he is able to show hairs standing on his body, which means that there is some amount of, joy that he is feeling, which is transcendental in nature. But look at us, so we don't have any such taste. So there, he was explaining how the difference is that Namaparad and then, there's Ajnata Sukruti. So the power of the name is so much. But then the only thing that we need to be cognizant of is the fact that we should not make any aparad, and that is our struggle, because that's the struggle of every practicing devotee, because he or she has the knowledge that this particular name or the sound is so powerful. And then if our consciousness gets into that, and then we start thinking that I can, counter many things, or I'll be able to do this, or this will give me some benefit, and so on and so forth, then we are in troubled waters. So on that note, in fact, if you look at Bilva Mangala Thakur, I'll just conclude with that, where there is this wonderful verse that in the Chaurashtakam, there is one particular stanza that he is talking about, which is actually depicting what happened or what is unfolding here. So here it says the sixth verse of the Chaurashtakam, some of you might be knowing it, where it says, Chinnasti goram yamapasha bandham vinashti binmam bhavapasha bandham Chinnatsi sarvasya samasta bandham naivatmano bhakta kritam tu bandham. So there it means that Bilamangala Thakura is actually speaking, Chaurashtakam is for the Lord, where he is calling him as a thief. And he says, like, how you stole my heart, my wealth, my honor, all of that he says. And then he says that you also cut the terrible nose of Yamaraja. And then you sever the dreadful nose of material existence. And you slash everyone's material bondage. And of course, but you are unable to cut the knot fastened by your own loving devotees. So here he is talking, but then he's talking about what all happens by associating or becoming Krishna conscious. So you cut the terrible noose of Yamaraja, and that is what happened for Ajamila. And also the dreadful noose of material existence was cut. And he also slashed his material bondage in conclusion. Because what happened in the purport that we read, it said that Ajamila still was conscious. I mean, he was there. The soul has not been taken out from the body. So where he was lying, he was still present there in the body. And he could hear these conversations. It will be revealed later, Prabhupada was saying, where he could actually hear, and then all his material bondage was slashed. And then the dreadful noose of material existence, of course, was taken away for him. And then he realized, and then he went on to practice Bhakti Yoga, and then he made his life successful, and then he moved to, he got liberated. So that's at the end. But then we understand how all this happened one after another. And this is how powerful association with Krishna is. And not even completely with Krishna, but even with the name. And that is the aspect that is being brought out here. And it is also bringing out the aspect of how the Lord is protecting a person. He looks for some good, and then where I can protect him. And then it's like searching. It's like that teacher who's who's correcting an answer sheet, and then there is the student who has scored like, say, 38 or 37, and there's just 2-3 marks, and then he would pass. Then that benevolent teacher, what he or she will do, he'll go through that answer sheet again. Let me see if I can give him some marks. Somewhere he would have written something. And then you try to search for some correct good things in all the not so good things that he has written. Not so good means not irrelevant things. So, and then you say, oh, okay, he has made a point here. So let's give some half a mark here, 1 mark here. So like that, Krishna is searching in the lives of all Bhakta Jivas. So he's looking at whether they are Grahamedis or Grahasthas or practicing Vaishnavas or yet to be Vaishnavas, whoever, everybody. And then he's trying to look out for the good thing and then give that credit for them. So in that way, this Nama, that is your Ajnata Sukruti and all that, that's how it works. And that Ajnata Sukruti works very powerfully because in the Ajnata Sukruti, the foremost is the word or the sound of Krishna or Ram or Narayana. So that's the understanding that's coming out from these pages. I'll stop here. If there is any comment or any question, please go ahead. Otherwise, we can conclude for today. So thank you so much. Hare Krishna, and thank you for everybody.
Hare Krishna, Prasannatma Balaram. Thank you so much for the wonderful, reiteration of the importance of the name, which is not different from the personality himself. So thank you so much, Prabhuji. Request devotees to share any comments or thoughts. If any questions are there, please unmute and share.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. Dandavad Pranam. Prabhu, this Siddha Sattama, it is same like Mahajana, Prabhu?
Yes, Mahajana also, Mataji, because there again, Mahajanas to Ghatapanta. So there, who's a Mahajana, it is very clearly explained in Bhagavad Gita, where they are the devotees of the Lord. So the pureness, yes. So they are all referring to a pure devotee or a Vaishnava.
And sorry if it is right or wrong to ask this question. Ajamila, at what stage of bhakti he was, Prabhu?
He was not in any stage of bhakti when he was calling out the name of Narayana, no?
Before,
All
Prabhu?
that happened later on when he realized after this incident of the Yamadutas and the Vishnudutas, then he doesn't die there. He actually lives. And then he realizes there's realization that happens to him. There is repentance that happens. He repents for the sinful life that he has led. And then he perfects his life by doing bhakti, and then he moves on. So actually what has happened? Only his sins are removed in this stage, the stage that we are having the discussion on, or the verses that we are seeing. Then later on, after they move away, they both disappear, then a whole lot of thing continues for him. That is realization, repentance, then he regrets deeply, then he leaves, gives up everything, he makes amends. There is paschatap and prayaschit that happens. And then he makes his life successful. So it gives him a platform to neutralize his sins, that's all. But still he is not in the positive. He's neutralized his negatives, that's all. So, so then later on he does pure bhakti, the devotional service. So there are many things. We have to take it in a holistic way, and then it then makes sense. I hope I answered your question. I don't know. You were trying to ask something in between. Good.
Thank you, Prabhu. Because I was also having a confusion whether he was in bhakti previous. Actually, after he doesn't die, Prabhu, then he goes to Haridwar or something, and then he practices.
Yes. And what happens after they disappear is the main thing, the essence. Where there is prayaschit, there is paschatap. Prayaschit means like you give up everything, and then you leave the home. You become this thing, like Varnashrama, you follow, you Grihastha, because he was already 70 plus at that time. So he should have been in the, what is that, the Grihastha and Varnashrama, this thing, he must be a Vanaprasthi, he should have been. So he moves out, he leaves material relations, and then he moves on. And then there is also repentance, paschatap. He says, what a life I have led. And then, so these two are very important for us to advance, paschatap and prayaschit. Even Parikshit Maharaj, after that, putting that dead snake, so much repentance he has. This repentance quality is what furthers our this thing. It purifies us further and then takes us further.
That's what we have seen in the previous lecture, no, Prabhu. Rampada Swami, he said. So the atonement neutralizes, the knowledge will help the tendencies, but the tendencies are removed by devotional service.
Correct.
Yes, Prabhu.
That is the more permanent one.
Yes, Prabhu. Thank you so much for the wonderful class. Dandavat Pranam. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. Dandavat Pranams. Thanks for the wonderful class, Prabhu. Prabhu, as you were pointing out, so when the sins are gone, sinful reactions, even the tendency to commit sins should have gone off, no, Prabhu? So that part I did not understand, Prabhu. Why he will continue to do sins, even when the sins were going on?
Very nice question, Mataji. If you look at Nectar of Instructions in the first shloka itself, this comes out. Parikshit Maharaj asked the same question. Why is it that there is this tendency for us to do it again and again, even though we have the knowledge, and even though we want to come out of it like very seriously, like I don't know, I mean, it's somewhat relevant to take that example of a drunkard or even a habitual thief, or even a student, a boy. He'll say, from tomorrow I will study whatever happens, because he has scored low and he's being scolded and all that. And at that point, the child genuinely is saying that. It is not that the child is saying just like that to escape. Genuinely it says, no, I will, tomorrow onwards you see, and all of that. And with determination, it will sit and then start the studying and all that. Even a habitual thief or even a drunkard, like you would have been so much drunk that next day he will make a promise that I will not touch. And he is making that promise with all genuineness. But then as time progresses, again, you fall into that rut. Even for the child, 2 days, 3 days, then after that, then again, because it doesn't have that love for the subject. Or for the drunkard, there's so much, that attraction is so much. We are all conditioned in that way. So unless we get into that higher taste connection, Bhogeshwarya Prasaktanam Dayapartha Chetasam Vyavasayatmika Buddhi Samadho Na Vidiyate. So it will not happen. So the only solution in that also is concluded rightly by saying that we will have to become Krishna conscious. We have to connect to the higher taste. We have to take the association of devotees. We have to do all the things that is already set forward for us. If we do that, then the transformation is more complete, or it is not so temporary that we'll go back again and again. So just atonement is not enough. We should have just prayashchit is not enough, but paschatap is very important. We should feel, and then we should connect to Krishna, and then the mercy of Krishna will hold us there. He will give us that intelligence. He will not only the intelligence, he will give us the strength, the perseverance, the potency, all whatever is needed to stay away, to perform like that. Now he will mercifully give it to us. And then once you have that higher taste, then this smaller taste becomes very, very this thing. Like Dhruva Maharaj, same thing happened. He thought the best thing is to sit in the top position above his father till the point the Lord appeared. After the Lord appeared, and then he changes his whole stance. There's a transformation. He says, I thought they are diamonds, they are pieces of glass. And then everybody, you can see in a pattern in all these things. Like once the revelation happens, then there's a complete changeover that comes up. And that changeover means that they've got this higher taste. Until we get that, we will have to keep continuing to do our sadhana and wait it out. And make sure that we are wary of the aparads that are there and then not commit that. So we don't tie ourselves more because somebody is going to come and free us. Not like that. I hope it makes sense. I don't know if
Yes, Prabhu. Thank you so much, Prabhu. And also you got the association of pure devotees like Vishnu Dutas, no, Prabhu?
Yes, he got that also. Yes, we can say that because that is when he realized, and then when that conversation happened. Even the Yamadutas also, they wouldn't harm a person who's a pure devotee, right? They don't go near them. So even though they are in the punishing role, but they are also servants of the Lord only in one way. So the ability to see all this, he got a lot of clarity and he realized the mistake that he was making. So I'm sure that will come in the verses that follow,
Thank you, Prabhu. Dandavat pranams. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. Dandavat pranams. Thanks for the wonderful class, Prabhu. Like Mataji's this thing, old habits die harder. They are very hard. We have to do continuous we have to have the perseverance to do the sadhana. We have to pray for the mercy.
Yeah.
Guru and God. Thank you.
The only way we can counter an aparad is by namasmaran only. That's what he said yesterday also. So you have to do more chanting. So that's the only way that you can do. It is like you go to a doctor, the doctor will say it's not working still. Then he'll say increase the dosage. So you have to increase the dosage so that then there is some effect that is there on us.
Thank you, Prabhu. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Yeah, so we can conclude. Thank you.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Thank you. Thank you so much for the wonderful class, and thank you all devotees for attending. We will meet tomorrow, same
Prabhu,
time. We'll end with yes. Yes, Prabhuji.
Yes.
I forgot.
Yeah.
I wanted to request prayers from all the Vaishnavas who are assembled here. Our dear Sankarshan Prabhu's wife, Rasarani Lakshmi Mataji, would be undergoing a surgery of replacing a pacemaker for the third time. So Prabhu is not on the call, but he's requested prayer. So please pray for Mataji so that she can have a smooth surgery, a successful surgery, and she can have a speedy recovery also. Okay, so let us all once together chant Hare Krishna Maha Mantra.
Hare
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Rama, Rama, Hare.
Thank you so much.
Thank you all. Thank you all.
We can conclude with Vaishnav Pranam now. So, seeking forgiveness. Vancha kalpatrubhyasya kripa sindhubhyavacha patitanam pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo namo namaha ananta koti Vaishnav Vrinda ki jai. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Grantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai. Harinam ki jai. Thank you so much.
Thank you, bro. I'll end this session. We'll meet tomorrow same time. Hare Krishna.